Well, it's like, if the ball pit's for kids, why would you replace all the balls with glass marbles? Like, you're asking for injuries there.
I think if there were the potential for shattering.
I guess. Oh, we're back. All right, hello, and welcome back to the stream. We've resolved the issue. I was torrenting Seinfeld, and now we're good. We've got plenty of bandwidth, and we can bring you raw, unfiltered 1080p data streams. This is going to be amazing. Oh, we're crapping out. Okay, we're back. All right, so I'm going to skip the preamble from before. We're talking about Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. We have a new patch dropping today, and we were going over some of the new features of this cool patch.
Yeah, so biggest thing is we've gutted audio and video. So OpenAL and WebM are now in, and we possibly broke some stuff a bit. So we should try that out. If you've got a BMU music file that doesn't work, you should send it our way, and we'll take a peek at it. MP3 support will be going in, but not yet. Right now, it's still using the BMU loading code, but fairly soon here we'll be moving it to using MP3 loading code. Just try the audio out.
Yeah. So a lot of systems changing on the back end. There's a lot of reasons why we're doing this, but basically we're implementing a bunch of open source libraries that make it easier to port the game, and basically it's just a nicer experience for both us and for you guys modding the game.
Yeah, other things, we fixed middle mouse drag rotation. It's smooth again, even if your frame rate's dropping. We fixed over a dozen server multiplayer crashed fixes have been put in. Some of them are pretty rare, but they all happen on 169. So we fixed those. Fixed OK cancel dialogues. They don't hide behind characters or scenery anymore, which I could see would be really...
I mean, I was fine with it. Yeah. I thought it added an interesting, Z-depth messing.
I'm going to rotate the camera until I can find that OK... Oh, God. It's depth sorting relative to my camera. We added a new feature, and it's a console command called Make Pano.
Ooh.
It generates a set of images that can be stitched into a panoramic. The images are written in the screenshot directory and named in logical sequence.
So if we flip over to my desktop here, we've got a series of really cool panoramic images that were generated.
I don't know if I want to flip to your desktop. That's a pretty dark place, man.
Well, I'll just hide all of the...
All the bad?
Unseemly Japanese dating games that I play. So here's a cool area that was made with the Make Pano command. So as Trent was saying, it generates a bunch of images that you can then stitch together to make a panoramic 360-degree image. And this is neat for a variety of reasons, one of which is you could actually load these into your phone or a VR headset or something, and you can look around and see the world. Here's a cool underwater scene that somebody made. Here's another environmental shot. Again, very, very cool to get in there and look around and actually be inside of Neverwinter. Here's an underground area. Nice.
It's all about skulls.
And
there was actually an equation that was written on a board at BioWare that was up for years, and it said fire plus skulls equals awesome. And over time, artists just added to it and made it more fires and more skulls, and it got pretty epic.
Who amongst our adventurers is the murderer? Is it Captain Orcus? Jimothy?
Jimothy? I thought that was little Judy.
Menacing Clive.
Menacing Clive. Money's on Menacing Clive.
All right, so if you grab the new Head Start update, and you can try out this console command, it's Make Pano. Check out the release notes, and you'll get to see how to use it. It's really, really cool, and I encourage you to mess around with it.
Yeah, so... apparently, one of our testers, Symphony, put together all these shots for us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Symphony. So we've got a couple features that are coming soon. One of them is object scaling. Creatures work for now. Object scaling we're looking at next week-ish. I say ish because even though code looks straightforward, there's always these nice little surprises that pop in. And another one is applied VFX scaling, rotation, and translation. And apparently there is bread. I'm not... So
every Christmas season, one of our intrepid Beamdoggers makes bread for everyone in the office. And I love it. I think it's the best bread that money can buy. And Seth, thank you very much for this bread. It is both delicious, nutritious, and I'm going to eat it on the stream.
And heavy. That is some serious bread. That is not unleaded bread. That is leaded.
That's the stuff.
So the other big thing we were going to talk about on this stream when Phil stops making really grotesque eating sounds is Trello. So I don't know if you guys have played with Trello before, but Trello is essentially almost like a Kanban board.
It is a Kanban board. That's what it is.
And you basically, if you don't know what a Kanban board is, I have just condemned you to 2 years of internet research hell. And eventually you will know all about Kanban boards and everything that Kanban brings to us and why it's wonderful and amazing. So the Trello board for Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition is basically where we're going to be talking about all the things that are in active development, all the things that we've shipped, all the things that need more discussion, things that are in the icebox and in proposed. So the idea being when we get enough asks on the message board for a feature, it'll move into proposed, and we'll start talking about it in proposed. If it's an interesting idea, but we're not ready to tackle it yet, or it's an idea that we don't think we're ever going to tackle, it'll go into icebox, and that'll be kind of, if somebody brings up a feature and be like, no, that one's already been talked about, it's in the icebox. Needs more discussion is, let's talk more in depth about this. Those discussions will be happening on the forums. That'll be the place to talk about those features, and we'll actually refer to those from the card itself. And then active are things that we're in active development on, and then shipped with patch. It'll list out the patch that it shipped with, and it'll have a big listing of kind of the things we put in there.
Yeah. So the way this is going to work is you'll be able to subscribe to individual items in Trello, and subscribing is essentially like voting. The more subscriptions a card has, the more we know, okay, this is what people really, really want. The community's really calling for this because everyone's subscribed to it. So we will absolutely add Neverwinter Nights VR support. I'm kidding. We're not going to do that. I'm so sorry, Mark. He's glaring at me right now.
You are such a jackass.
Yeah. So we do actually have a question from the audience. Neverwinter Nights VR. I think that'd be super cool, but let's talk about that like a year from now. When we've knocked out some more key features that people actually want.
Yes, I think of Neverwinter kind of right now as a small parking garage, and I think before we get to the state where we're ready to talk Neverwinter VR, we will have to be in that almost like mega mall slash Gothic cathedral state. The
one thing I will say for Neverwinter that it has going for it in terms of VR is that it's very low poly, and that's great for VR because you have to render it insanely high resolutions. And so, I think it would be cool.
High res and high frame rate.
We need to get enough people subscribing to that particular item before we can do it. So buy a VR headset, first of all. Get that market share up and vote.
No, Phil.
Okay, don't buy VR headsets.
Low frame rate leads to vomiting in VR, so we should not do that.
All right.
So I think it's time to give away a T-shirt. I have a version of the T-shirt on right now. The shirt. You don't give away the Beamdog shirt. You gotta.
I would love to get a Beamdog shirt.
They're red for a reason. You have to earn them with blood.
I don't even own this one. I had to rent it. He makes me pay $5 a month to wear this shirt.
So our T-shirt winner is Taro94. Well done, Taro94.
Hey, wait a minute. Is that the... oh, that's a different person. Never mind. I thought it was someone I recognized.
All right. Why, you know a lot of Taro94s?
I know almost every Taro on the internet. There's a couple I don't. They live out in, like, Belarus or something.
Belarus.
All right. What else we got?
We talked deeply about the Trello.
You want to play some Neverwinter?
I think it works best when it's like you playing the
Let's
Neverwinter.
Play the original campaign.
You feel like hurting me.
Yeah, I do.
You're a bad person.
We had a question, will there be a link to the Trello? That's going to come next week. We're still getting all of the data imported and everything. But by next stream, we should have everything set up, and we should be able to get people in there and voting on stuff.
Yeah, so next week, Robin's going to come on. She's going to talk more in depth about the Trello and how everything's going to work and when things are going to be rolled out.
All right, I'm making a dwarf here. What portrait should we use? Hey, I know that guy.
I know that guy.
Who else? All right, pick out people that are that you recognize. Who's this?
Is that Jonathan?
That is Jonathan. That is
my God.
Jonathan.
That is Jonathan.
That's either you or Nat. That's Nat.
I think that's Nat.
Yeah. There's Scott, of course.
That is Scott.
And we didn't even actually have to paint over this one.
No, Scott is total serious whiz biz.
Crazy.
There's a question. Can I talk about the portrait scandal? Where portraits from the original game had to be replaced because the portrait artist was a little too inspired by internet imagery. Ultimately, that's what happened. People were trying to put together portraits, and we were looking for interesting faces, and the reference just wasn't. Nobody checked the reference tight enough. And once it got pointed out to us, it's like, okay, we got a problem. We got to fix it. It wasn't really much of a scandal. It was like, oh, we screwed up. We better fix that. It was kind of the things we go. Wasn't as nearly as exciting as it sounds.
I thought it was exciting. I was on the edge of my seat.
It wasn't that exciting. I think that being told by the Red Cross to change the Red Cross symbol in the game, that was more exciting. I'm like, seriously? The Red Cross is like griefing us about this? But I get it. It's their symbol. They don't want you to know that you can buy a small container of Red Crossness out there without their authority, which is cool. I get it.
Pavel, finally you're up. I was afraid you were going to sleep all day. Wow. I'm 99 years old. Let me have some rest, okay?
You're 99, but you're a dwarf, right? So
you're Bort Smurfo, aren't you? Yes, I am Bort Smurfo.
I love your names.
Yes, my son is also named Bort Smurfo. Who cares about honor? I just came because I sensed the potential for real profit.
Real profit. Mm-hmm. Is that it? You're profit driven.
I'm not really interested in chatting with you. I'm talking to the game.
Sad. I'm sorry. One of the loading screens in Baldur's Gate 2 states the player will be able to import their characters from the game to Neverwinter Nights. Is this feature implemented in the Enhanced Edition? No, that was a lie. That was a total and complete lie. And the person who wrote that was he was lying. He just had no idea. I don't remember where that discussion happened, but I remember as project director of Neverwinter Nights, I was like, that sounds really bad idea and we probably shouldn't do that. And it may or may not have been a joke. We'll never know.
I regret biting off more than I can chew.
Because the person who promised it was buried in a back alley somewhere for promising bad things.
All right. Well, that was more bread than I hope to eat.
Whoa, there's a big question here. This one is... This is big words. There's some big words there. I know about the situation, all the peculiarities with the Neverwinter original campaign rebuild. Is there another way to remaster it in another way? Recreate it from scratch, adding everything I was going to add. So I'm going to let you in on a secret. I am not a brilliant designer. I do not come up with the idea for the campaign. That was actually our writing and design team. I had some little touch points that I wanted to touch on, and there were moments that I obsessed about. I obsessed about Erebeth. I wanted her to be somebody that people could fall in love with. What else did I obsess about? Mostly about Erebeth. There was a lot of obsession. And from the original campaign, I mean, it was what it was, and I think I have no desire to go back and revisit it. I think the right answer is to build another campaign going forward that's better, and the original campaign is what it was. So while technically feasible to go back and build a new campaign and rebuild the original or to re-implement it from scratch, I don't really want to spend a great amount of time and effort on that. I think there's better stories to be told, and I think we'll spend our lives doing that. Can you take this Forgotten Realms setting more seriously? There's no blue Smurfs in Faerun.
You ever heard of it, Xvart? Wait, I pronounced it wrong. Xvart? Is that it? Xvart?
So
I guess they're not technically Smurfs.
I'm going to give you a little insight into Phil's inner being. Phil takes nothing seriously.
That's not true. Okay, so the backstory of my character, which I lovingly crafted in the style of Forgotten Realms, thank you very much, is that he imbibed a potion of blue skin, and that's why he has blue skin. It's completely believable in the context of the Forgotten Realms, and I can't believe I'm being harassed about this.
You deserve harassing. You don't take it seriously. Although Svarts are blue.
It's true.
They're little blue dudes.
I remember slaughtering an entire village of them in Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition.
Are any ETA on the premium modules not being playable in multiplayer? Would love to get an infinite dungeon server going. So The Infinite Dungeons I can't speak to specifically, but a lot of the modules were crafted single player only, because from a story standpoint it's really easy to write about the Chosen One and to only track if player, whereas if you have to keep track of thousands of separate players trying to run through at the same time, you get a whole lot of Chosen Ones all conflicting each other, meaning that basically no one was really the Chosen One, and then at that point it becomes sadness and confusion. So Infinite Dungeons is one we haven't done a lot of looking at. I think we're really interested in the concept of how to take it and move it down the road, but it's something we'll look at. I get another question here. Will the race selection at character creation be changed from static options to a dynamic list, like classes, feats, and the like works, to make custom races and possibility without the NWX/Leto shenanigans? Yeah,
I think that's doable.
We're going to do that. We're trying to open it up, and I mean initially there's going to be limits to what we can do, but we'll slowly start rolling stuff forward. Will future campaigns have future dragon kittens that were promised in streams past?
Hell yes, they will.
I disagree. I think Phil is lying.
You can't stop me from loading up the toolset editor in like 2 in the morning and adding that in. No one watches the commit logs that closely.
I watch the commit logs that closely.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of a fight with a skeleton here.
Yeah. We have a question here. So whose brilliant idea was it to both have Rasad be based on Phil, but make him lawful good too? So
that's what made it interesting, the internal conflict.
Yeah, taking Phil and his chaotic evil nature and ramming it into a lawful good character and seeing how the two could play together.
You know, the truth of the matter is they just needed a bald guy, so
yeah.
They grabbed me off the street. 5 years later, here I am.
Yeah. Hey, that rando bald guy's got an interesting head shape. We should totally paint a portrait of him. Oh, and we'll hire him.
Greetings and well met.
All these attacks are making me eat my feelings.
Another question. Something I've always been curious about. The choice to go from a full 6-person party in BG2 to being only able to take 1 henchman in Neverwinter Nights, later increased to 2 in Hordes of the Underdark. What was the reasoning behind that? Baldur's Gate is a novel. It is a novel about a single character who has companions who have joined him or her on their adventure. Neverwinter Nights is a D&D adventure with you and your friends. It's not built from henchmen. When it was originally imagined, it was your henchmen should be your party companions, people who you're multiplayer playing with. And really that was the concept behind Neverwinter. If Baldur's Gate is a novel and a story that's a set, fixed storyline that you're going to play, Neverwinter is a dynamic adventure unfolding with a live DM. And that's really kind of, it's a completely different promise that we were chasing after. And that's really kind of what excited us about it.
Yeah, eat it, person. What's his name? Dendy?
Why are you attacking Dendy?
Because he asked me to.
He did?
I don't actually remember. I wasn't reading.
You should read. Phil has a problem with reading.
I was here to lead, not to read.
Not to read. So I know this. Basically, tell Herben you know how to fight.
Where is he?
That was the guy you were just talking to. Tell him you know how to fight.
But I can't. I'm ready to continue my training. I need to do this and this.
Just say you know how to do it.
Sir, yes, sir. All right.
This is where trouble starts.
Yep. I'll be going now, sir. All right, Mr. Campaign Designer, where do I go next?
You basically need to resolve all the combat. Did you do the ranged as well?
Man.
Ranged guy's back in the corner over there. So we got a question on the plot of the original campaign, its connection with the Hordes of the Underdark expansion. Someone supposes a possibility to choose the hero of Neverwinter as the main protagonist of Hordes of the Underdark adventure. Ultimately, you could be role-playing that character. There's nothing to stop it. I mean, we didn't link them consciously because we really viewed the campaigns as separate entities that didn't have to reference each other. I think one of the big approaches we wanted to take with each campaign and each expansion that we did was this could be a story that would stand on your own, or that could stand on its own. if you wanted to think it was the same character coming forward from last adventure to next, that's awesome. It's like when you're playing a D&D module. You play one module, and then your group goes on to another module. The two modules don't reference each other because they're separate adventures. As a DM, I mean, you have that ability to inject some cross-reference if you want, but we really didn't want to go there from a scripting and kind of building out the adventure standpoint. It really came down to this concept of you run the adventure ends, and then it's not the story of the adventure, it's the story of your character. And that's really kind of what matters.
I finished my training, Trent.
You have finished your combat training in the tutorial.
Now I get to graduate with Lady Erebeth.
So, why did you decide to play the prelude?
Because it's the best part of the campaign.
I think.
And for everyone watching who's never played Neverwinter Nights in their life, it's exciting to see how to play this game at its most basic level.
I think most of the people watching the stream have probably played Neverwinter and probably played the tutorial enough to love it.
Well, I'd like to see some data to prove that out.
In the same way that I love it. You got to talk to the dude.
Hello, Dorgard.
Will portrait packs on Steam be seeable by those who don't have the pack?
I think, yeah, they kind of have to be.
Well,
otherwise, what would you see?
Exactly. It could be the question mark character.
I believe that's what we did in the enhanced editions for Baldur's Gate. The portraits would carry over, like they were present, but if you didn't have them unlocked, you couldn't use them, but you could still see them. Yeah,
good. I mean, we want people to be represented by their character portrait. So not being able to see them would be a bad thing. Please make your PW. So I'm going to gather that question is somebody asking us to make a persistent world that people can play in.
You're not going to like the persistent world I build.
Yeah. Phil's horrible dungeon of ultimate death.
Permadeath, only one room, daggers only.
And Baylor.
Baylor's everywhere.
Yep. Do you have the rights to make modules or campaigns in NWN? Mm-hmm. That is an interesting question. We can make things in Neverwinter Nights. As far as settings, I mean, Neverwinter is set in the Forgotten Realms settings. So we're kind of talking long-term with Wizards about what we want to do here and what things interest us and where we want to chase right now. So the answer is we're interested in it, and it's something we're definitely talking about.
I'm going to save my game real quick here.
Probably a good idea because you have an ability to die.
I can't keep typing. Can we expand the length of names for save games?
For people like yourselves who like to spam names?
Yeah.
There's a question specifically about the Steam version, and will there be any achievements? We're going to put achievements in.
Hell yeah.
It's just not going to be immediately. It's going to take us a little bit of time because as we learned from the Baldur's Gate experience, it takes a while to put achievements in.
And as well, so Steam features are going to be coming online slowly as the Head Start program progresses. You'll see things eventually, but the timeline is still up in the air because there's a lot of other more important features that people really, really want in the base game itself before we start worrying about store-specific things like achievements. But we absolutely want to do it.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to do is make one platform better than others, so I'm still kind of torn up on that one. Ammunition question. Is it possible to, number one, increase ammo stack size, and or two, when you run out of a stack of ammo, be more predictable with which stack will be auto-equipped next? So this was a real challenge when we put Neverwinter together in the first place. One of our big fears was guys using +2 arrows, firing away, runs out of +2 arrows, is playing on a server that allows PvP and allows party member damage, switches over automatically to arrows of fireball, and boom, takes out the party by auto-switching. So we try to really limit it down as to, hey, don't burn my magic arrows too much. I think it's something, I think that's one of the topics that would go up for discussion on the Trello and start a thread on the message board to talk about it. I think making larger stacks, I think the stacks are 99 right now. I'm like, why are you using so many arrows? Maybe you need to question yourself.
We got another question. Will there be support for adding more ranged weapons to the game, like throwing spoons, harpoons, guns, etc., without replacing existing content? So I think as part of our making things more exposed to modders and adding more features to let you add things on your own, we'll make it so that modders can do that, absolutely. Our plans will depend on the kind of content that we're building. So if we're building a campaign that calls for those things, absolutely we'll consider them. But modders should be able to do all of those things that you're suggesting.
And I got a huge personal hang-up, which is fantasy and guns for me just don't play well together.
So you really hate old school Warhammer.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan of guns and fantasy. If you could shoot Conan the Barbarian, Conan's much less awesome.
But what if he could flex and catch the bullet?
Between his pectorals?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That sounds very bizarro.
That's a natty 20, I tell you what.
There are going to be additional races classes in the future. Our goal is to just start unlocking it, making it easier for people to kind of add them. I think eventually that could migrate into core. It's one of those things like, it may sound in some ways like we don't have a plan, a hard plan on things, and in some cases that's true. We're actually trying to be community directed with our development on this. There's a question about Gnome Arms. Will Gnome Arms be fixed in EE?
You can't hug your children with Gnome Arms.
I'm wondering what's broken about them. Is it just the proportions?
I think it's a proportion thing, because they have to skew pretty hard based on the default human.
Yeah, I think the problem was people would look at the game and you wouldn't see a big difference between gnomes and halflings. So we did some proportional weirdness to make gnomes kind of stand out. I think that's more of an art problem than anything else.
The nice thing, though, is that with our new upgrades that we're doing, you'll be able to swap out creature models entirely. So you'll have, if you on your own want to replace an entire race with something cooler, you should be able to do that.
I got another question here. Are there plans to add feats and classes that existed in Neverwinter 2, like epic precision and hips for assassins?
I think this is another question of if we're building a campaign that calls for them, we'll add them.
Yeah.
But other than that, if the community, like if everyone in the community is like, yes, we want this stuff, it's #1 on the Trello board, we'll obviously approach it. But for specific content questions, it's really more about what content are we building? Would it be appropriate there?
Yeah, and I think one of the things I kind of want to call out is that Neverwinter and Neverwinter Nights 2 are pretty different beasts. They definitely have a lot of lineage, but those guys went pretty far afield with where they went, and we don't have access to their code base, and as a result, if we're going to implement anything, it's going to have to be from scratch. And with that said, I don't think we want to go in the direction they went. I think we want to make Neverwinter more awesome for being Neverwinter. I think Neverwinter 2 paints a path that we just don't really want to chase.
Is this Beamdog's first heavy multiplayer product? How important is multiplayer for you? I think multiplayer is a pretty big deal for us. I mean, the entire plan for Neverwinter with the Head Start program is largely driven by the multiplayer community that's kept the game alive for over a decade now.
Yeah, I mean, Neverwinter to me was always about multiplayer. If Baldur's Gate is a novel, Neverwinter is a box of D&D. And it's you and your buddies sitting around a table playing with one or more people able to jump in and DM. It's really, Neverwinter is core multiplayer, bottom to top. And it's a game that does things that no other game does, even today. Like the concept of a DM client, the concept of a full tool set. You build out your content, then you're dynamically able to manipulate it to a massive extent while people are playing. I think that's unprecedented in another game, and I think that makes it part of the most awesome multiplayer architecture there is. And we're just going to be expanding and improving on that.
You know what the best feature of Neverwinter Nights is?
What?
I can walk away when someone's talking to me.
Yeah, I really love that. Yeah, you just keep talking there.
I can't even do that in real life. People just follow me. All right, so we're running out of time here. We're actually starting to overstep on the upcoming D&D stream. So we are going to chat a little bit about Infinity Engine stuff. So as you may have heard, we have the Infinity Engine 2.5 beta out right now. This beta is available on Steam, on Beamdog, and on Google Play. The focus of the 2.5 beta is on multiplayer improvements, getting cross-compatibility up, and fixing any sort of critical issues. The beta isn't available on iOS because running a beta on iOS is a bit of a bear, but it will be coming to iOS, to the Mac App Store, to GOG, everywhere under the sun once the beta is complete. So if you're interested in helping us test out the fixes and features that we're including in this patch, please check us out. Some cool stuff. Icewind Dale now has the new Shaman class.
Yep.
That's all new.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of neat little upgrades all over the place.
I think one of the people asked, like, this is your first real multiplayer-focused game. For the 2.5 update, multiplayer is one of the big priorities. We're really kind of pushing multiplayer and trying to bring all the platforms together, harmonize on one version, and make everything work happily. Other kind of big things, localization and VO updates, pushing those in, and really trying to improve the support that we've done on it. But again, multiplayer, get in there, test it out. Somebody fired up on Android, try to connect to a PC, try to connect to a Mac. Have fun with it. Play the game. Break it in interesting and exciting ways.
As Baldur's Gate can be broken in many interesting and exciting ways.
Yep. And I think we're near the end here. We should probably give away another shirt.
Yeah, we want to do one more prize here. All right. Well, I'll let you show off the shirt and just see if we forgot anything.
Here's the shirt.
All right.
Ow, I just grabbed my nipple. That hurt.
This is a family stream.
I should be more careful about that. The winner of the Neverwinter T-shirt, the limited edition, not for sale T-shirt that you can only get by watching this stream, is Inlines 33.
Inlines 33. I think that's how you pronounce it. Inlines 33.
I will defer to your pronunciation.
There you go. All right, Pavel's carrying up the rear here, so we're just gonna.
You have a party member.
Exit. So I think you touched on this earlier about how Neverwinter was all about like you with your buddies, so that's why it was focused on a single character. Would we be interested in the future if we were building, a new module or something, having a party-based adventure using the Neverwinter engine?
I think the companions were really a patch. Like, companions were there to fix the fact that really in Neverwinter or in any D&D game you need multiple characters. You need a thief, you need a healer, you need some kind of ranged to balance it out. The companions are really a crutch to provide that with you if you can't play it with other characters. I think we could expand the number of companions and give you a little more direct control over them, but the last thing I want to do is try and make Neverwinter into Baldur's Gate. I think what I want to do is to make Neverwinter awesome. And if somebody wants to take that awesome and implement a Baldur's Gate style adventure in it, I think they should be able to.
Which is, I think, a pretty fair compromise of keeping Neverwinter focused on what Neverwinter's good at, and then let the community decide what they want to do, which is what Neverwinter has always done to fantastic success.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the things that got us really excited about coming back to Neverwinter was that the community and the idea of just kind of evolving it forward. So if you want to watch after this, you can stay tuned on the D&D Twitch channel for D&D Beyond. And I want to say thanks to our friends at D&D for hosting the stream. It's been a hoot, even though we were cut short by a rando technical dude hanging from his thing. We should probably go pick him up off the ground and take him to a hospital now. That might be good. We were throwing stones at him earlier.
It was funny. Like, does no one appreciate physical comedy anymore? I
just found it hilarious when I'm like, "Hey Phil, we're going to be doing the stream today. It should be fun." And then instantly behind my head, in my window, a crane appears and a dude goes by, and I'm like, "What?
Ridiculous." Okay, bye.
Goodbye.